Yo, shout out to the Most High. It's always eyes, even on lower state. It's LD's also known Lawrence One for another episode. I need to know. And my special guest, introduce yourself.
I'm Ronnie. My name is Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
I'm well. Yourself?
Ronnie, you something else, man. So, you got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to talk about the BET. You grew up in Oakland, right?
Yes.
You got your nonprofit, right?
Yes, I do.
You got your working out. I seen you on Instagram. I mean, you going to leave some weights for me?
Yes.
Okay. So now that I got all yeses, you can still tell me no, though.
Okay.
Okay, for sure. So where did you grow up at?
I grew up on 71st and Spencer and Sobrety Park.
Okay, so you deep East Oakland.
I'm deep East Oakland.
So I like to ask all my town natives this question, right? Mm-hmm. Where does deep East Oakland start?
I say 6-9 Field.
You know what? That's funny though, because I always say 73rd, but I could go 6'9", mm-hmm. But then you would have to add 6'5" too though, because you can't do that now.
Yes, you do 65th and 69th and go on down to Sobrety Park.
Now, can I just stretch it just a little bit, just to do what I do? Because you know what they say, if you give a brother an inch, he's going to try to take a mile or a block.
Yes.
Would that include seminary too? Is seminary still considered the deep East?
Yes, seminary is considered the deep East.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're an Oakland native?
Yes, I am.
You like Oakland?
I love Oakland.
So talk about growing up in Oakland when you were younger.
Growing up in Oakland when I was younger, it was fun. It was adventurous. I had my ups and downs growing up, and then I went to my grandparents. So, I was a little fast.
Gotcha. Well, it's like that, though. The 90s, was that your favorite time era?
The 80s and 90s.
80s and 90s?
Yes.
What were some of the soundtracks of your life?
I used to always go to the LL Cool J concert. When I was on 71st, Bruce from the Deuce, Bruce from our hood, he used to buy everyone in the neighborhood tickets.
Is that Big Bruce?
Big Bruce.
Pooh Man talks a lot about Big Bruce,
yes.
And he reveres him a lot. He must have been a really great. Rest in peace to Big Bruce.
Yes, rest in peace, Bruce.
I don't hear nothing. I always hear good stuff about Big Bruce.
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to Pooh Man.
Yes, Pooh Man.
You know Pooh Man?
Yes, I do.
Pooh came on my show and turned it out. I like Pooh Man a lot.
Yes.
Want me to tell you how I met him?
How?
So, have you heard of Mike Dream? Mike Dream was also, I think, Mike Dream, Plan B. They were graffiti artists.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Plan B. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And shout out to Brick City Bill. That's like his relative too, right?
Yes.
So, when I seen Pooh Man, we got the same name, Lawrence.
Okay.
But I said MC Lawrence, like on the Get In With. I said, man, I ain't gonna even lie. I still messed with your music even when y'all fell out, because I know how friends,
Correct.
But your music is still the bomb. And since then, we've been tight. And shout out to Pooh Man again, you know what I'm saying? For show, for coming in on the show and doing his thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
For sure. So you grew up in Oakland, right? Mm-hmm. Now I like to ask my Oakland natives this too. You know what I'm saying? If you had to say, what is the difference between North Oakland, East Oakland, and West Oakland?
Well, I was kind of raised in North Oakland as well, because my grandparents had property, will still have property over there in Emeryville. So I went to Golden Gate School.
Golden Gate?
Golden Gate.
Oh, okay. Not Golden Gate Academy, but in North Oakland.
In North Oakland.
Gotcha,
I went to
okay.
Golden Gate, and then I migrated to East Oakland when I was with my grandparents.
Gotcha. Now, are you your only child?
No, I have a brother. He passed away. His name is Vernon Henderson. Rest in peace, Vernon.
Okay.
He's from Sobrety Park. He was killed. Yes.
Gotcha. Recent passing or?
No, I was incarcerated.
Gotcha. Okay.
He passed away. Yes. That was a big thing. Like, that was my baby.
Okay.
Yes.
And what high school did you go to?
I went to Castlemont.
Castlemont. That's the Mac of the East.
Yes, I went to Castlemont. I had a good time at Castlemont.
What was it like?
Fun, busy. It was never a dull moment at Castlemont High School.
I bet it wasn't. It wasn't never a dull moment at Mac. It was, when I was on the way to high school, I was just coming from art school. I was still a virgin, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that high school was going to be like Saved by the Bell. When I got there, it was like, lean on me. For sure. So when did you start jump off the porch? You know what I'm saying?
I jumped off the porch at 13.
13? Talk about some of the stuff that you used to get into at 13, you know, or your teenage years.
Me and my girlfriends, it was quite a few of us, like about 8 of us. You know, back in then, I used to walk everywhere or ride a bike. So we'll go to each other's houses and probably sneak away. It was very hard for me to get away from my grandparents because they were so strict on me. I couldn't go off the porch. I couldn't go out the gate. I couldn't go to the corner. I couldn't go to the store. So my friends' mothers used to have to come to my grandparents' house and persuade them to let me come outside.
Gotcha. Okay. Were they into the Bible and stuff like that?
My grandmother was Pentecostal and my father was Muslim. I'm Muslim. So, yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
For sure. So, Dale, you know what I'm saying? Did you graduate from Castlemont?
Yes, I graduated. No, I graduated from Fremont High School.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, so you stayed in the East?
Yes, I stayed in the East. I stayed at Castlemont, and I kind of got kicked out a little bit because of my girlfriends. And I got pregnant at a young age, so I went to a alternative school in Royal Park.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then after I had my daughter, I was like 15 years old. I went to Fremont High School.
Now, this is what I want to know about teenage pregnancy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So is your daughter, like, do y'all have a dual role? Like, she's your daughter, but also kind of like your sister since y'all kind of close proximity in age?
I could say that, but that's not always a good thing.
It's not?
No. They could be very challenging sometimes.
Well, you know, I always say this, right? This is why you need a village, you know what I'm saying? Because when you're young, right, and have a baby, you have the energy, but not the wisdom. When you're old and have a baby, you got the wisdom, but not the energy. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. But we're very close.
That's cool. And is that your only one?
No, I have a son as well.
Okay.
So I have 2.
So this is what I want to know. You a mom, you know?
Yes.
You're going to say this in front of the world, you know? Do you have to raise a boy or a son differently than a daughter? Or do you, like, would you make one pay rent and not the other? I mean, how does that go?
Well, my kids are funny because they think I have favoritism against each other.
Okay. You do. I can hear. Alhamdulillah.
And I love both my kids the same, actually. You just have to love them different. And I love them different in 2 different type of ways.
You know what? You know, how could they be the same and different, though?
Because they're both my babies.
That's right.
But I have to give them attention in different kind of ways.
That's right.
My daughter and my son. You know, my daughter, she's a little, think she's my mother.
That's right.
And my son, that's my baby.
Well, you know, I always say this is that when young ladies and their mother bump heads, it's because the daughter thinks that she's a better and smarter version of her mother. And rightfully so. But she still got to listen. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then for me, I think sons get into it with their father because they think they want to be our equal too quick.
Well, no, I say for my son, he's not confrontational at all. Like, he's a very laid-back kid. He's a really good kid, and he's really laid-back. So, Senke, he's a very humble guy.
And how old is he?
He's 26.
26. Okay.
And my daughter's 32.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just did the math.
Yes.
I was mathing.
Yes.
You know, I'm math. I'm doing a lot. For sure. So, did you have a troublesome childhood?
No, I didn't have a troublesome because I had my grandparents. And,
Gotcha.
I had my grandparents. I had my auntie next door. I had my other auntie that was there as well. I had my father, who was from Sobrani Park. His name is Henderson. Rest in peace. I love my father so much.
And this is a different Vernon that you talked about earlier?
That was my brother.
Gotcha. Oh, so that was Vernon Jr.?
That was Vernon Jr., yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yes. So, no, I had a little bit of everything. I had a village, I could say. You know, I was raised well. It was me that decided to jump off the porch.
Well, let's talk about you jumping off the porch now. Now, when did you start, you know what I'm saying, enter the game?
When I entered the game, I was probably about 13, 14 years old. I came up under my big cousin. Like, she kind of molded me and showed me little things, not knowing that she was teaching me things. And I was grasping things and putting it back in my brain.
Oh, you were downloading?
I was downloading everything, yes.
Gotcha.
And, you know, I paid attention, probably too much, but I paid attention, and I kind of made things into my own little way.
I know how it is. You know, East Oakland is really fast to me.
Yes.
You know, it's really fast.
You're surrounded with everything. I
mean, you know, because it's different. Like, I always say that North Oakland is like the town part. It's not too fast like the East, and it's not really slower than the West. It's faster than the West in a different way because It's more progressive because it's closer to Berkeley. West Oakland is like the country part. It's very country.
Yes.
People in West Oakland, they stay in their sections and don't really have
I have
any.
my West Oakland people I love. I have
I
lot
love
of
West
friends
Oakland.
out there. Yes.
For sure.
They represent and they have my back.
Because it's full of little city turfs like, you
Yes.
know, Ghost Town. They stay in Ghost Town. You know, Acorn. They stay in Campbell Village or Lower Bottom. You know what I'm saying? And they're there and then they meet up at school and it's this thing. But before we go any further, when you said that you had those friends, those 8 girlfriends and stuff, did y'all have a crew name?
Well, it's funny. Kind of named them. I had named the Pussy Pound.
The Pussy Pound. See. Talk about that a little bit. You and the Poo-Tang clan. Shout out to King.
Because that was the motorcycle days, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, a couple of us had Harleys or the 3-wheelers or whatnot. That's back in the day. That's way before this generation even knew anything.
Back in what day? Hold on. Back in what day? Like what year is this? Hyphy movement or before that?
This before that. This is like in the 90s.
Oh, so Dog Pound.
Yes.
Is that where y'all got y'all name from? Were y'all like the girl version of that or just something that y'all just grabbed out the air?
Just something I grabbed out of the air. Just something, you know, and then we was like, no, that wasn't representing us very well because that's not what we was. So
Gotcha,
that kind of faded.
Gotcha.
You know, we didn't want to give people the wrong impression.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Any records coming up?
Not.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. No records.
No. None.
For sure. So I read in the paper that you know what I'm saying, you were into a little white collar.
I did.
Okay.
I did. I used to work at the bank. I was the, bank. At that time, I was a teller at first. And then I went to no accounts. And I was learning things and teaching myself things and doing things. And one thing led into another. And I created $1 million enterprise.
Gotcha. Could you expound on that?
Like what?
So I want to talk about when you first started working there, right?
I was like 15 years old.
15? And then when did the bright idea start happening?
During the time when I was working at the bank, and I stayed there for a couple of years, and I went to a different bank. And then, working just wasn't for me.
Gotcha. The money was too slow, right?
It was too slow. And I'm from DB's Oakland, so
Gotcha.
you know how that go. It's in me, it's not on me.
Oh, for sure. Did anybody put any bugs in your ears on what you should do? Like, did the bright idea come from you solely, or did the bright idea come from like somewhere else?
No, the bright idea came from me solely. It's my game. I created it, I made it, and that's what it was.
Gotcha. So how long did you work at the bank before the bright idea came?
Let's see, maybe about 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Because I was going to college as well at the time, and I was working like 3 jobs. I was working at Hertz Rent-A-Car, I was working at Dollar Rent-A-Car, I was working at the bank, and I was going to college. I was going to Alameda College at that time.
So let me stop and press pause. You're doing 3 things at a very young age.
Yes, to impress my grandparents.
For
it was
sure.
always to impress my grandparents.
So you went basically from making everybody really, really happy and proud of, yo, my granddaughter, doing this, and then you switched. You went as hard in another direction.
I went hard in the paint, but you wouldn't believe my grandparents never knew anything that I was doing. I hid it from them. And they had millions of dollars in their house and didn't know it. I was scared of my grandparents.
Mic drop. Alhamdulillah. For sure. Okay. So when did the feds come?
I got my first federal case in, I think, 97.
In 97? Gotcha. So is it true that the feds have to contact you before they come get you?
Let's see. They did contact my grandparents.
Okay.
And then that's when I had to tell on myself, when I contacted my grandparents.
Where did you get arrested at work?
No, I turned myself in. My grandparents made me turn myself in at that time. And then...
Get in the mic?
Oh, I turned myself in.
Okay.
At that time. I was young and, I still had guidance. I still have morals. And I listened to my grandparents. So at that time, I turned myself in. So I had got maybe 8 months at that time.
8 months?
Yes, 8 months on Ankle Monitor. Yes.
Gotcha. So did you ever go to the prison?
I did. Down the line, it was a couple of federal cases that got me to prison. It wasn't just that one, fortunately. The one that got me to federal prison was the big one. I did 10 plus years there. I embezzled over like about $20 million.
That's a lot of quarters.
Yeah, it's a little something.
80 million to be exact.
That might not be exact, might be more, but allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Okay. So you did 10 years in the federal pen?
10 plus. I did. I did in Dublin. I did 2 years in Seattle, Washington, which is SeaTac, and I did a year and a half in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Gotcha. So you bounced around.
I bounced around, and then I came to Dublin.
So does that mean, since you bounced around, did that mean that you were crossing state lines doing your same?
I was going from plane to plane.
I
Yes.
guess you are fly. Yes. You know, I had to. So was any federal penitentiary, was any of them easier, like, for you, and is it harder on people from out of state to actually blend in out of state?
Well, at that time when I was doing my time, my father raised me, so it wasn't nothing but just to do it. My only hardship was being away from my children, first and foremost, and it was never the time. And while I was doing my sentence, my family was passing away. My brother was murdered, and then my grandmother and my grandfather passed away, and then my mother and my father. So that was the hardest part, is just losing my family, Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about the call that you actually got, or how did they contact you when you were in jail? Like, you know what I'm saying? Was it how did you find out?
Well, when my brother passed away, he had just left me from coming to see me in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I called home because I used to always call home every day, sometimes on three-way, So I made a phone call to someone in the hood, because that's what my brother, I would find him. When he would answer his phone, that's where he would be at. And I'm like, where's Vernon at? He's not answering his phone. And I'll never forget this call. And I forgot. I think it was Leon Hooker. He told me. And he was like, you talk to your family? And I'm like, no. And he was like, I think you should call. And I said, call? I said, what happened? Because I already knew, what happened. And he said, you should call home. I said, no, just tell me what happened. And he said it was Vernon. And I just knew it wasn't good. And then I called home, and then that's when my heart broke.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how long, when you found that out, how much more time did you actually have to do?
I was in the beginning, because I was still going to court and everything. Yeah, I was still going to court and stuff. They did eventually give me a hardship to go to the funeral, but I missed it. So I missed my brother's funeral, and I was supposed to turn myself back in, but I didn't. That's when I went on the run.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Talk about going on the run a little bit. And how long were you on the run?
I think I ran for a couple of years.
A couple of years?
Yeah. It was hard because you have to go from place to place. And they knew that my thing was going to my grandparents' house to see my children.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they was kind of surrounded, I was a bad girl, and I didn't think I was. I never hurt anyone. So I really didn't think I was doing anything like that bad. I knew it's consequences between whatever you do, but I didn't think that it was that bad.
In retrospect, do you think that what you did was bad?
No. Honestly, I was surviving. I was taking care of my family at that time, and overall, I do feel like the victims did suffer, honestly. I took millions, but it is secured, FDIC.
Gotcha. That mean they get it back?
They definitely get it back, but they spanked me with the time.
Gotcha.
Yes.
In retrospect, is there anything that you wish that you would have did different? Like if you could go back in time?
Absolutely. I would have never gotten into the game, actually. I would have stayed in college. I would have stayed in school. And I would have listened to my grandparents more.
Gotcha. And what did you go to college for? Cosmetology or something?
No, I went for psychology at that time. And I was all over the place. I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to make money.
Okay.
That was my thing. I wanted to make money. And college just was going too slow for me. So that's why I had so many jobs.
Yeah.
And me and all my girlfriends, we always had a lot of jobs, honestly. And no matter what we did and how we did it, we always kept a job because we're all smart.
I believe that.
Yes.
So when you were in jail, Talk about what it's like behind the wall. Like, were there women hitting on you? Did you have a relationship, or did you have one on the outside and in?
Of course, you know how prison is, but you know me, I really got into the Quran because when my brother had gotten killed, I was angry at God. So I had to get myself back to my peace. So I knew it was a masjid, an imam that came here from the mosque, and my father knew him, and he sent him behind the walls to come and talk to me every day. So that's when I really got into my Quran and really got into Islam, because I wanted to be back with God, because I felt like I couldn't do it without him. I wasn't scared. I never cried about the time, but I cried about my brother.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Were y'all close in age?
Very close. We was like 5 years apart, but
that's pretty close.
That's my baby.
He was younger than you?
Yes.
Gotcha. So, okay, I got you.
That's how
yeah.
I got kind of like deeper in the game, because, you know, I never wanted my brother to want anything from anybody. I want him to always have his own.
Yeah.
So if I was that person to do that, I was going to do whatever I had to do to make sure he had his own.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what were some of the biggest life lessons that you learned in the penitentiary?
Life lessons, leaving people shit alone.
I know that. Hey, look, you know what I'm about to say, right? I'm doing a lot.
No, you know, really, I was in my young 20s when I went to prison, so I had to really turn to a woman in prison, you know, learn survival, learn me, you know, growing from a young woman to a woman, you know, being away from my children, you know, I miss that part more than anything. That's why I want to have another child, because I know I'm a wonderful mother, and I just wish I could have showed that to my children. You know, my son, he was 2 when I left, and my daughter was 7. So when I came home, my daughter was like in her teens, about to be 20-something, and my son was graduating from high school. So that was kind of big for me, because I missed all that, you know, and really the money in prison and everything that came with it wasn't worth it, being away from my children.
Okay.
And losing my family. So, you know.
And are you a grandparent?
I am. I have 3 grandkids.
Okay. So do you ever feel like that you could get some of your parental time that you missed with your kids?
I can.
With your grandkids?
Yes. And I have a little girl, Promise. She's so pretty.
Gotcha.
I have Prince, and I also have baby Sinke.
Okay. Yes. Okay. You kind of light up when you talk about being a grandparent. Talk about that. Do you consider yourself a young grandparent? Because it seemed like when I was little, it seemed like grandparents was like, they was like hella old, like, you know what I'm saying? Like teachers. Yes. Remember when we was old, like teachers had wigs, but now you go, they kind of fly. I mean, I like taking my son to school. And you know what I'm about to say, right? Hamdulillah.
My grandkids, they call me Mimi, so I'm a Mimi.
Okay.
I guess they call it young grandma. That's what Precious say.
Yeah.
But I'm a Mimi. My little grandson Prince, he'd be like, Mimi, when you gonna get old? I said, Mimi is old.
Mimi. Mimi.
Yes.
For sure. So now that you're out the penitentiary and stuff like that, right? How long did you have to stay on probation, or you know?
I say about honestly, it took me about 10 years to get off probation.
10 years?
Yeah.
Why so long?
I was on, you know, they labeled me as a queen pin, so and a mastermind. So they didn't trust me, honestly. And I got a couple of violations. So, you know, I made a couple of more mistakes in between the times that I was doing. You know, I probably had a couple of federal cases that I'm not proud of. But my last violation that I had, they gave me 5 years probation. So I'm thankful. I need that experience. I got a chance to know me, go to phlebotomy school. I went to phlebotomy school when I came home from prison, and I also had the Lollipop Fitness, which I started in prison. Okay. Because I used to work out every day. That's how I did my time. I worked out every single day, and I went to the masjid. I didn't really talk to too many people. I was very selective who I spoke with in prison. Let's put it like that.
Okay. So I have to ask you a question really quick. Were you addicted to the money, or were you addicted to the crime?
That's a good question. You know, it probably was the crime, because it was a high for me just to beat I had a quota. Like, I probably had a quota for $1 million. And it was like a high. My high, I would get, like, that was my high. I've never done drugs. But that was my high to get to that $1 million in 30 days or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was the game. It wasn't the money. But the money did help.
Yeah. Because I know some people, like, they're addicted to the crime. I asked my friend, he said, man, to be honest, man, I like the money, but I was addicted to the crime.
I think I could say the crime, and with that much money, like, how can you really spend all that money? But I took care of my family a lot. And, down the line, I think it was too much money.
Yeah.
Honestly, because you'll just be doing anything, But one thing I did do was take care of my family, no matter what, first and foremost.
And that was the biggest satisfaction that you got out of having the money in the game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, taking care of my family.
And talk about the Lollipop Fitness, like in jail. Talk about what that looked like in jail. Like, what did that look like?
It's a couple of ladies gave me the name Lollipop because, my shape or whatnot. And, on my way out, they was like, you should make that a business, because I didn't know, my mind was everywhere. I went to college and prison, and it was like, I was like, what am I going to do when I get out of here, right? Because I know what I wasn't going to do, right? Mm-hmm. So I just made a business, Lollipop Fitness Boutique, and I started with my fitness wear and my waist trainers. My waist trainers are really popular. My new line is going to drop the end of this month.
Cool. Do men wear waist trainers too?
Yes, they can. And it helps.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna have to. Not for me.
No, but it does.
Shit, you almost pulled me into that bullshit. I had to snap. Alhamdulillah, snapped out.
Or a sweat wrap. They have sweat wraps for men too. I'm addicted to working out. It makes you feel good. It helps your mental. Kind of like I'm addicted to working out. Kind of how I was to the game.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. That's funny that you say that because I used to drink alcohol every day. Now work out and don't drink. So I always say that working out, right, and my recovery are two areas in my life that I have the most control of. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, like, even like with this podcast, me and Steve, this is the me and Steve thing,
Correct.
If I'm rapping, it's me and the people thing. But with recovery and working out, those are the two areas that you have the most control over. So you find a lot of more success in that.
Correct.
For sure. So when you got out, how did you get you on BET as a trap queen, right?
I am on BET, American Gangster Trap Queen. Yes, I am.
And really, before we get all the way into the BET, back to being the trap queen, did you have people working for you?
Hundreds.
Like hundreds?
Yeah.
So you was at the top.
There's no other way to be.
I know that's right. You kicking that. I like that. I might have to sample that. Hey, Steve, save that, For sure. So how did you land the BET deal?
Well, a couple of friends was looking for me. I was supposed to do BET about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And, I don't tell people my business. I'm a very private woman. And I was like, no. And I was like, I'll think about it because it kind of is like a form to me of telling it yourself. But someone told me, that's your past. And if you're not living that lifestyle anymore, it's okay to tell your story. Because I was always raised that telling yourself is not an option. So it took me about 3 or 4 years to actually do it because I was supposed to do Trap Queen back when COVID was around.
Huh.
But I kept saying it wasn't my thing. It wasn't my thing. Anybody knows Ronnie knows that she's very shy, and that's not her. So this is totally different for me.
So I know there was a rising of a few stars during COVID-19. Like that's when the internet or YouTube and podcasts and things like that just went through the roof because everybody was inside. In retrospect, do you think that do you wish that you would have took advantage of that moment, or you just think that you just had to wait till it was finally for you?
I had to wait till it was finally for me. At that time, during COVID, I was teaching myself government contracting. That's how I do my trucking business, my dump trucks. So I was like doing a lot of Zoom meetings and a lot of classes with people in Atlanta and New Orleans on government contracting. So I was just studying. It was different. COVID was different. So I was just trying to get all the knowledge I could because at that time, PPP and the trucks was the only thing that was running. So I started off with box trucks.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
I got to tell you something, like during COVID, it was, like I said, it was the emergence of a lot of people that was on the internet. You know, I think Whack 100, that's when I found out who he, you ever heard of? Whack 100, pretty entertaining, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But my favorite guy was Kevin Samuels. You ever heard of him?
Oh my goodness, he's horrible. He's horrible.
I found that extremely entertaining. So, but see, we understand that we even coughing at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Of course. He don't like women. And that's not okay. I don't think so.
Well, the thing about it is, you know, I looked at Kevin Samuels as somebody who was a car salesman who was just selling cars and just basically telling people, you know, okay, you got 5 kids and you got a coupe. Maybe you should get this and not the coupe.
He was horrible in every aspect to me. He's just like.
Did you find him entertaining?
No, he was horrible. Everything coming out his mouth was rude.
Okay.
He talked to women rudely. And
okay. I mean, I agree with that.
No.
Some of it, you know.
Like, you know, you like, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it at Tesla. 12-hour shifts. I mean, I loved it. I loved it.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, but yeah, rest in peace to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the BET thing that you got going on, so talk about that. Let the audience know, or the listeners know, or the viewers know exactly what that is and what's the name of the show. What does it actually entail? And is it a reality show?
No, it's not a reality show. It's my documentary of my life, starting from a child up into an adult. It get really in depth. Like, you know, you really just have to tune in to really see. It's the shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe that. Yeah. Now I want to ask you this. Before you went in and after you went in, this is a 2-part question. How did Oakland change?
Oakland was a very beautiful place. It was like, it was lit. It was nice. It was morals. It was respect. And it was money, you know? Like, it wasn't so much hating and all this new stuff that's going on with this generation. You know what I'm saying? And people stay in their lane. Today's generation is pretty different, you know. I guess they just have their way. I just can't get jiggy with it, this new generation thing. You know, I can't really talk down on it because, you know, this is all they know, you know, unfortunately. Okay. But they'll get it, you know.
Now, how did the world change?
The world? It's not the same. It's different, you know. It's like, now it's like every man for themselves. You know what I'm saying? You really don't know who to trust. You really don't know who to talk to. You can't confide in anyone, you know, anymore. You could barely call your friends these days.
That's right.
You know, back then, you know, friends, it was love, caring, respect, loyalty. And today, you just never know. Yeah, you just never know.
Do you think that it's gotten more dangerous?
I think it's always been dangerous, you know. But I think us, the world, I'm always thinking about Oakland, the Bay Area. We're survivors. So we can survive through anything. You know, it's really nothing, you know, that we can't go through. The world, you know, I don't know. I can't speak for them. But I could just speak for the ones from my cloth.
Gotcha.
We could get through anything and everything because we've been through it all, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So now that you got the Lollipop Fitness, what does that look like? Like, are you, do you rent out a space where people come work out with you?
No, I just do my own thing. I work out, you know, at the gym or some of my girlfriend's private gyms. I just sell the fitness wear, you know, fitness wear, waist trainers. I do have, for you to lose weight, drops I was selling or whatnot. I just focus on that right now. I'm working on a book, and I'm working on a movie soon.
A movie?
Soon, yes.
Now, is the movie a documentary, or is it like a movie? Like,
you're going to get all the tea in the movie.
It's about you?
Yes, about me and my crew.
So is this separate from the documentary?
Totally. But we'll talk about that another time. Yeah.
Okay. So you going in?
Yeah, I'm going in.
You going in?
Yeah.
So you might be writing anything.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So when is all this gonna be in the works?
Well, my episode on Trap Queen, it drops in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for that. I'm a little nervous, but you know, everybody that knows Ronnie know the real and know the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what propelled you to actually get into the trucking business?
Because at that time during COVID, that was the only thing making money.
Okay.
Honestly, was trucking. So that's when I started with the box trucks or whatnot. And the government contracting, just running them, for the PPP, the medical, that was a lot of money back then. And then it slowed down a little bit. And then I just transitioned over to the dump trucks.
Gotcha. And as a mother, what do you tell your son about women?
Let's see. Sinke, I don't really know what to tell Sinke about women. Just, he loved hard, my baby boy.
Okay.
And he have a good heart. And he's a very good man because he was raised by his father when I was gone.
Okay.
And he have a good father, So he's a very respectable man. And I just want him to take his time and don't fall in love so fast. I just want him to find the right person, the right wife for herself.
So this is what I also want to know. I've heard women say this, right? Mm-hmm. I've heard women say this. Mm-hmm. That they want their kids to bring home people that they're only serious with, not just not serious with. Do you want to meet all your kids' friends or only the ones that they're serious with?
Well, my kids know that I'm a very funny style and very particular woman.
Okay.
So they're not going to bring just anybody to me. I don't play those games. So like I'm not going to hee and ha-ha. I'm not that mother. No matter what I did or what I've been through, I'm a mother, and I don't play games like that. So I only met one woman that my son brought home to me, and that's his son's mother.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yes.
I'm the type of parent that I want, I only got one, Mm-hmm. But I want him to meet all their friends. Because I'm a parent. I need to meet all your friends. I mean, they don't have to meet the bar for me. I just want to see who you hanging out with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chip to, go to, pimp players. I mean, on both sides, like all your guy partners, all your girlfriends that you have some. But I want to meet all of them because I want to know how you pick your friends and what you see in this person because it's a different set of interview, not just for the friend, but for you too.
Well, my kids, they think that I'm mean. I don't think I'm mean, but I get
people with the gun particularly don't know how it feels when you're pointing it.
So, I know some of my son's friends, and I know some of my daughter's close friends. So, I don't know too many, but I know enough to know what my son is doing.
Okay.
And I know that he's safe.
Okay.
And he's covered. So, he all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you find the most peace with in life right now?
My alone time. I like to be alone a lot. I'm a loner. I like to be still. I like to be able to think. I don't like chaos. You know what I'm saying? I don't like drama. It makes my anxiety go up. So if I feel like I'm surrounding myself with too much drama, I'll get away from me just so I could be still. That's why I say peace, be still a lot because I like to be still, You
know what? I'm glad you said that because me, like in recovery, I don't drink and stuff like that. So part of my recovery and me working my program is being held accountable, right? Mm-hmm. So I work in the field, like with addicts and stuff like that, homeless. That's my targeted population.
Okay.
And people that's not being accountable is definitely something, or people that get high too much or something like that definitely like does something to my soul. It shakes me a little bit. Like I got to kind of like take a step back real quick.
Yes.
Yeah, so I totally get what you're talking about. Yeah, and so you were in the penitentiary a long time and, you're a loner. How do you translate that to romance? Like, do you need space a lot in relationships or?
No, I'm very family oriented and I love love and I love to love, right? But I think I was absent so long in prison. I think I kind of forgot to love or accept love. You understand? Because I was spending for myself for so long as far as like behind the walls and, just grieving back to back to back to back. So I just have to learn how to be loved and to love a little better.
Gotcha. Because you seem pretty independent.
I'm very independent.
So how do you let somebody show up for you in a romantic setting if you're very independent? Like, is that something that you actually have to teach yourself how to do?
Yes, I have to learn to accept it. That's my thing, learn to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have to work on that, and I'm working on that to accept it.
And did you have to get therapy for any of this?
I did.
Do you go to therapy?
I did. When I came home, I went to therapy for 2 or 3 years, but I don't think it really worked as far as that, because I started feeling like they just wanted to be in my business. And I really wasn't saying too much because I'm so private. Like right now, I'm talking a lot. So
yeah. Well, I'm a big time therapist. I mean, don't get it twisted. I mean, I'm really good at what I do. You know what I'm about to say, right? Alhamdulillah. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Having a fleet of dump trucks.
Okay.
That's my focus right there, because that's where the money is, the dump trucks right now. And leaving out of California for good. I'm ready to leave California. I think I've outgrown it. I'm just ready to just be free. I think when I'm away from the Bay Area and I'm somewhere, because I was in Texas for a while, then I came back. So I just feel so free other places. I don't like when I wear glasses a lot, shades,
okay,
and that's like my protector. So that's the only reason why I wear glasses, because V. No, I'm not V anymore. I'm Ronnie.
Okay, I know that's right.
I'm not that person anymore. People seem to get things misconstrued, because they don't know that, when you're away, you grow, you change.
That's right.
So if you don't grow, you change, you'll never learn.
That's right.
And I've learned.
So you kind of feel like people like to be too much with the old you.
Yeah.
And it's preventing them from accepting the new you.
Exactly. And that's a problem for me.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, it took people like a while to realize that I don't do the same thing anymore. Oh, Lawrence, why don't you come through? Papa. And I was a friend a long time. Now it's time for me to be a family man.
But I'll never forget where I came from. And I'll
True.
never forget any of that, you know what I'm saying? Because that's who made me the woman that I am, is here. But, sometimes you just, I don't know what it is. Like when I leave and go out of town, or I come back to the Bay Area, it's like I have to put a shield on, like a protector gear or something like that. But when I leave, I'm so at peace, and so I think it's just time for me to leave.
Well, it's kind of like this, how I view it. Like on Fridays, when it's time for me to actually turn in I go to school on Friday, but I don't have to be there.
Correct.
I just have to take myself out the situation to actually handle my business and become unavailable for people that are around,
Correct.
Because I got to do work and stuff like that, and I just got to get in mode,
Yes.
So outside of California, when you said you're going to leave California, that means California, period, not LA. That means the whole state, right?
No, I'm going to probably go back, to the South, somewhere that way, just to relax. And I'll come back, back and forth. I will come back and forth because my children out here. So, but my son do be in Texas. My son was living in Texas. He recently came back, but he goes back and forth. But I like Texas. And then trucking is really good out there. The money's good.
Yeah. Yeah, because those states, it's a lot of like business out there, like, and they're far apart. The Bay is condensed.
Yes.
You can get through the whole Bay Area on board in about, 40 minutes.
Correct.
Stop to stop. Things like, from here to there, you kind of got to get on the highway and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I wanted to know something. Let's talk about the Diddy trial a little bit. What's your take on that? Is he getting off? I mean,
That's funny because I'm a little confused right now, but with Cassie and the Diddy thing, I was always told you don't ever put no one in jail, and what happened to her is horrible. I don't condone that one bit. But I feel like, why'd you stay 10 years? Like, why did you stay 10 years? Like, honestly, like, you could white flag something. Like, that's where I'm confused at. What he did to her was not okay, because a man is never supposed to put their hands on a woman.
But this is what I want to know. Sometimes aren't people addicted to the bad things that happen in their life?
Yes. So that's why I can't really say that. I'm just stuck between the two right now. Because she's a woman and I'm for women.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not for a black man going to jail neither.
Okay.
So, my father raised me. So, what I'm saying? I just feel like, why did you stay? I was raised in the era of pimps, players, and hustlers.
Come on now.
What I'm saying? My daddy was a PIMP. So, he raised me, what I'm saying? So, I know everything about that. And I just, just wondering why you didn't leave.
people love their abusers too. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, people are addicted.
It's like addiction
to bad things.
I could say that. So I don't
You
know.
can't tell a crackhead that crack ain't good.
No, you can't.
You can't tell a gambler that, he might have lost everything, but he's still gambling. I mean, people are very much addicted to the negativity in their life as well,
Yes, but I'm for my women.
Okay.
And to protect women, I'm for that. And I just hope she get her peace, because she need her peace. No matter what, she went through some trying times and some horrible things. So I just want her to get her peace.
And she didn't put him in jail.
No.
She's just like a star witness or something like that, right?
I think, she's a star witness, and I just feel like maybe it initiated from her. I guess when she broke off how many millions of dollars or whatnot. But she deserved that. She deserved more than that.
Gotcha.
For what she's been through. She deserved that.
And before, I want to make sure that we touch base on this. You have a nonprofit.
I do.
Talk about that a little bit.
I have my nonprofit Free. Females respect everyone equally. And I'm also working on transitional housing as well.
Cool.
For women that's coming from prison and children. Because sometimes, a lot of women that leave prison, they don't have anywhere to go.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was just fortunate to have support, have somewhere to go. But I want to cater to them. And I also talk to the girls at the San Francisco School District as well.
Okay.
About my life. And, if I can help them change, lanes that they're in, I want to do that, because going to prison ain't it. I'm being away from your family.
So this is what I want to know before we move too quick. I'm kind of still unclear about exactly what Free is. Is that you talking to people, or is it the transitional house for people?
Both. It's kind of like both, because Free is going to talk to children, because I was absent from my children's life in prison.
Co-ed, just little girls.
I talk to women.
Okay.
Girls right now. Girls
okay,
in high
gotcha.
school.
Okay.
Because it's different now from when we was raised. Sometimes they need direction.
That's right.
And I want to give them a little direction to go in a right path. If Lollipop Fitness is going to help them, give them something to do, or either help them. I like giving them fitness wear to wear. Make the girls feel good. When you have a new outfit,
yeah, hell
good,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Shit, I ain't a girl shit, but I still like a new outfit every now and then.
Just encouraging words. Just to because girls like to fight a lot, and little stuff going on these days, and sometimes it's not even worth all that. So I want them to be somebody, not go be locked up in prison or whatnot. It might be cute, maybe I think it's cute, but nah, it's other things and better things to do.
Well, being a young OG, I have to ask you this, because I added your age up.
Oh, we're not gonna touch that.
We're
not gonna touch that.
What do you think about the women of hip hop now? Like, because we've watched it transition during the LL days where girlfriends were aspired to be wives. Mm-hmm. Then we watched the female protege era, Biggie, Kim, Trick, Trina, where, if they were saying nasty things, well, it's for a man. Then we watched the tomboy era, Eve, Rough Rider, Shauna, DTB, Nuck If You Buck, Diamond, and all them.
Yeah.
Then women are at this stage where, they're kind of like up here, and their guys are kind of like, their sidekicks now.
It looked like everything that flipped and changed. I don't like... when you're old school, nothing, it always stay the same. It's not no big you, little me. We're always on the same level. I look at everyone on the same level. I don't think I'm higher than anyone, but I'm not lower than you neither. You're not going to look down on me.
Gotcha.
Man or woman. I'm your equal. I feel like that. My father raised me like that, and that's what it is.
So I'm glad you said that, because now this is almost going to turn into a damn dating show for me, and I like shit like this. So you being, like a queen pin or something like that, could you ever date like the supervisor at Home Depot or something like that if he was solid? I mean...
yeah, I don't discriminate, what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I'd rather date a truck driver.
Okay, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, it's not...
Every episode I get one of these. Shit.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
It's all about how you treat me.
Okay.
It's not about the money. It's all about how you treat me, honestly.
Okay.
It's the little things that count.
Okay.
For me.
For sure.
I'm not a gold digger. I'm used to getting my own bag.
For sure.
So it's not about that. And money don't always make you happy.
Okay.
Not a little bit. You can have all the money in the world and be miserable. So it's about, let my man make me happy. You know what I'm saying? And put a smile on my face.
That's right. Yeah, so I mean, you did a lot of time in jail, or
Yes.
whatever, whatnot, and you're part of the rehabilitation process.
Yes.
You got anything coming? Like you said, a movie. Do you have any books or anything like
Yes,
that?
I have a book that's coming out that's going to be out on all platforms. The name of it is Profit, Loss, and the Greater Good.
Okay.
So, yes, that'll be coming out soon.
Now, are you going to be writing this book?
Yes, it's from Veronica Henderson.
Okay. Now, what is the name of it again?
Profit, Loss, and the Greater Good.
For sure. And before we get out of here, tell people where they can find you at.
Lollipop_CEO.
I know that's right. And as usual, I'm LD's, also known Lawrence the One, for another episode I Need to Know. And as usual, come on, you know what I want.